Yesterday, Nintendo gave us a good look into a bunch of new indie games coming to the Switch, and in today's video, we round up all the best of the surprises, sequels and ports shown off over the course of the event. First up, and one of the two games from the showcase that's available to play in full today, Exit the Gungeon, while first out on the Apple Arcade in September of last year, is now out on a timed exclusive on the Switch. It's a spin-off from the incredibly popular Enter the Gungeon, with it being a bullet hell dungeon climber, with players tasked with ascending to their escape by way of some reasonably unsafe looking elevators. Each route is unique, and having already had a few hours with it, Exit the Gungeon would likely become a highly regarded sequel to the original.
This is Shelmerston.
The next announcement to really spark our interest comes from Hollow Ponds, the creators of Hohokum and Wilmot's Warehouse. Said to explore the afterlife, I Am Dead with its island setting reminds me of a Cornish seaside town, and this puzzle adventure game will come first to the Switch as a timed exclusive later in the year. Another game to come first to the Switch platform, Summer in Mara, will see you taking care of your own little island while you explore the surrounding oceans in this bright and ever so cute looking sea-going farming adventure. As in keeping with such other games, players will be able to craft tools and such other items, with Summer in Mara also featuring a strong and wholesome overall narrative. This one should be out first on the Switch sometime this coming spring. Now, the first game to feature in the show was probably one of the most intriguing, with it also posing as many if not more questions than it answered. Blue Fire from Roby Studios will have players embark on a journey through the desolate kingdom of Penumbra, where you discover the secrets hidden within this long-forgotten land. You'll come across other characters and undertake many a side quest to the main campaign to unravel the dark world that awaits. Blue Fire comes out on the Switch and as yet another timed exclusive at some point this summer. Coming up next, and a game we've featured a few times here on the channel, and one we backed during its Kickstarter campaign. The Good Life from Swery's White Owl Studio sees you become a journalist from New York, having swapped the city for a little village out in the English countryside. While looking ever so quintessentially English, Rainy Woods has many a secret to tell, with a murder for you to solve, oh, and a few other things such as the inhabitants, well, they can change into cats and dogs. This, as we say, is looking right proper bonkers, and will come to the Switch and other platforms later in the year.
The following message is brought to you by Moving Out.
Another game to feature in the show, which we already knew was to land this coming April. This announcement focused on the free-to-play demo, which can be picked up from the eShop. Having played Moving Out a few times over the past year or so, we're pretty sure this puzzle physics-based home-moving simulator will become our most loved couch co-op game, with it having over 50 levels across arcade, story and versus modes. Moving Out comes on the Switch this coming April 28th. First shown off a good few years ago, The Last Campfire comes from Hello Games, of course you know was the team behind No Man's Sky. Graphically at least, it was one of the standout highlights from the entire showcase. There's still plenty of questions on the gameplay and what players will actually be doing, although it promises a mysterious and moving tale of magic and mystery. While no firm date was given, The Last Campfire is expected out on the platform this coming summer. Next up, and yet another timed Switch exclusive, Baldo looks every bit like an anime film you can control. This action RPG is said to be full of puzzles and elaborate dungeons within an open and interactive world. Like many of the games shown off in the countdown, Baldo will hit the platform in the summer months later this year. Perhaps the bigger surprise of the showcase, PixelJunk Eden 2 was shown off for the first time. Here you jump, swing and spin all around a world collecting pollen while taking out invading creatures that are really clearly in the wrong place at the wrong time. Like the original, you play as a small little grimp, with you essentially working towards making your gardens flower and bloom away. The original's colour, aesthetic and techno-driven soundtrack also seem to be replicated and built on within this surprise sequel. As for the launch date, yep, you've guessed it, PixelJunk 2 will be coming out in the summer. Quantum League, arguably one of the odd ones out from the show given it's a first-person shooter, is looking to become a competitive online time manipulation and paradox affair. In Quantum League, players will do battle within a time loop mechanic where you buddy and team up with your clones of your character based not only on your past but expected future moments within the game, with it predicting how you might play a given scenario based upon historical data. Coming out later in the year, this FPS could offer the Switch and the genre something that little bit different. The boss rush gameplay shown within the Eldest Souls from Fallen Flag Studios, well, it put us in mind of many other games within a subset genre we're not going to name, although its pixel art and overall atmosphere does have us wanting to see more of this ASAP. From what we know so far, Eldest Souls is aiming to offer players a brutal challenge with high levels of player customization, all within a sinister, dying world. Nintendo Switch owners will have the opportunity to play Eldest Souls first, with this once more being a platform-timed exclusive for the Switch, and yes, it also comes out in the summer. Heading towards the last few games of the show we wanted to feature in this wrap-up video, Racket, with its ever so bright and vivid colours, is a rare mix of a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up all mixed together with block breaker components, and on the face of the trailer, it's all looking to be a huge amount of fun. Just like Exit the Gungeon, Racket is available to play in full right now, with it getting released just after the showcase ended. Before we move into the final sections of the video, other announcements from the show included info on a number of ports coming to the Switch. Highlights of these included the news that the psychological horror thriller Blair Witch from Blooper Team will make its way across to the platform to try and scare us all senseless. In other news, Children of the Light from That Game Company, well, it's also making its way off mobiles and onto the Switch, where we all think it'll find a happy home. While best played in co-op mode online with strangers, it's almost as good to play solo, where you're able to wander the open world to your heart's content. And the last of the ports we wanted to mention comes by way of Dicey Dungeons, a roguelike deck-building game from Terry Kavanagh, with it being expected onto the platform at some point in the year ahead. Speaking of card-based games, the last but one game in this video, Faeria, features a unique living board where players will build and craft not just their own decks, but also the world around them. You'll be able to build forests, fill lakes, or harness the power of the sands in the deserts. With over 100 hours of solo content, co-op missions and puzzles, this one will be out towards the end of the month. And now onto the last game from the show we wanted to check out. Bark is a shoot-'em-up with an emphasis on co-op play for up to 4 people. Here players will navigate the galaxy all while blasting their way through a space armada, all with fishy-themed enemies. You'll be able to customize your ship, and you can add ever so wacky weapons, and do battle with some big bosses all inspired by creatures from our ocean depths. Said to be a game for the whole family, this one will be out on the Switch in late 2020. So there we go, those are all the best bits from the March edition of the Nintendo Switch Indie Game Showcase. Like many of you, we'd hope to see and hear more news on when Hollow Knight Silksong will be out, although of course that wasn't to be. Please let us know which ones you're most looking forward to down in the comments, and while you're here, please like the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Many thanks for watching, we look forward to seeing you all again here soon for more indie game videos.